Ever since I married Gu Yan, my health has been in a steady decline, yet, before that, I was as strong as an ox. I could eat, drink, and sleep well, and running 2,000 meters in one go was no problem at all. I initially thought it was just the exhaustion from the wedding's endless chores and bustle, combined with the natural decline that comes with age, which left me feeling less energetic in every way. Little did I know, I would fall gravely ill, beyond the help of any medicine, and meet my end with eyes wide open in regret. On my deathbed, like a candle guttering in the wind, I clung desperately to my last breath, waiting for Gu Yan to come see me, but to my shock, who should appear before my eyes but Gu Yan, and with him, my own sister, my own flesh and blood. The way they walked arm in arm, so intimate and affectionate, they looked for all the world like a pair of newlyweds, inseparable and deeply in love. I lay on the hospital bed, mustering every last ounce of my strength to glare at them, unable to utter a single word. Moyu, you can go in peace, Shanxian will take good care of Ian. The speaker was my mother. It seemed she had known about this all along and had given it her silent approval, and my own sister, Tang Mashuan, stood by my bedside now in a victor's pose, head held high. She tilted her head to rest on my husband's shoulder and said with a smug, triumphant smile, "Oh, sister, dear sister, you're about to die. Yet you're still so beautiful. But what's the use of beauty? You're nothing but a tool to extend my life." A storm of grief and rage consumed me. I thrashed and struggled desperately, my mouth emitting a shrill, trapped animal cry, yet from start to finish, Gu Yan just watched me coldly, as if I were a complete stranger, and never uttered a single word. Tang Mashuan leaned in with feigned concern, then said with a smug look, "But sister, I really must thank you. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have recovered so quickly." I didn't understand what she meant. What did she mean? If it weren't for me, she wouldn't have gotten better so fast. But once she said it, I realized she truly did seem reborn. The once frail and sickly Tang Mashuan now looked radiant and full of vitality, her movements lithe and strong. Tang Mashuan seemed to see right through my confusion and went on, "You're going to die anyway, so I might as well tell you." She grabbed my hand and pointed at the red jade bracelet on my wrist. "My mother spent 200,000 on this. It has to pay off somehow, but I suppose it's worth it to trade for your life." Tang Mashuan wore a smug, gloating expression that made me sick. I was filled with such bitter regret that I wanted to beat my chest, but I was utterly drained of strength. I stared at the red bracelet on my wrist, wanting to take it off, but Tang Mashuan grabbed my hand to stop me. "You'll never take it off unless you're dead." Overwhelmed with rage and frustration, my body finally gave way, and a torrent of hot, coppery blood erupted uncontrollably from my mouth. I died. My brief life of just over 2 decades had come to a sudden, abrupt end, too. When my eyes opened again, I found myself still lying in the hospital bed, the sharp scent of antiseptic hanging in the air. I had thought it was just my stubborn fate, that I hadn't quite died and had tenaciously clung to life. To my surprise, I saw my mother standing there with several bags in hand, her face full of concern as she asked, "Are you feeling better, Xiaoyu? I brought you lots of nice things to eat." I remember it clearly. This was the scene from my first hospital stay after getting married, a rare moment when my mother was so gentle with me. I just stared blankly at the surreal scene before me, unable to utter a single word in response, thinking I was delirious from fever. My mother immediately called for the doctor. Only after he had examined me thoroughly and declared me perfectly fine did she finally let out a long sigh of relief. It suddenly dawned on me. I hadn't escaped death, but had been reborn. I had returned to the time right after I married Gu Yan. For the first time, I felt that the seemingly concerned smile on my mother's face was utterly insincere. Tang Mashuan's words, "It can be exchanged for my life," echoed in my mind like an unshakable curse. While the events of my past life replayed before my eyes as clearly as scenes from a movie in reverse, Gu Yan's proposal came out of the blue, completely unexpected. The very next day after the wedding, I collapsed and was hospitalized. In just over a month, I was completely drained, my life extinguished. Looking back now, none of it seems normal. I gently stroked the red jadeite bracelet on my wrist, my thoughts drifting into memories as I recalled the words Tang Mashuan had spoken to me just before my death in my previous life. On the wedding day, Tang Mashuan, dragging her frail, sickly body, came to be my bridesmaid. Before the ceremony, she slipped a red jadeite bracelet onto my wrist and offered her blessings. My mother chimed in from the side, "Your sister went through great lengths to find this. It's incredibly valuable, so you must wear it every single day." My heart was overflowing with gratitude. and I thanked Tang Mashwan profusely, completely missing the triumphant gleam of a successful scheme on her face. The bracelet was a deep, dark red, the color of congealed human blood. The moment I slipped it onto my wrist, I couldn't suppress a shiver as a bone-chilling cold instantly seized my entire body, though I paid it no mind at the time. To my shock, the very next day, I was struck with a raging fever that wouldn't break, collapsed, and was hospitalized. Despite always being in robust health, I remained unconscious for over 10 hours before finally coming to. From that point on, my health deteriorated day by day. I wasted away to skin and bones, my hair fell out in clumps, and my entire body ached. Eventually, even getting out of bed became an immense struggle, leaving me confined to it day after day. Yet, whether it was Gu Yan, Tang Mashwan, or even my own mother, they all claimed to have no time to care for me. They left me utterly alone in the marital home, waiting for death. By the time they finally took me to the hospital, it was already too late to save me. Looking at it now, fate has granted me another chance to start over. I absolutely cannot die a vague, meaningless death like I did in my previous life. I insisted on checking myself out of the hospital, disregarding my mother's protests, and returned to the home I shared with Gu Yan. Sister's vitality is truly remarkable. She only wore that bracelet for a single day, and I already feel much more invigorated. In my previous life, I was confined to a hospital bed for 3 whole days, so I never heard them uttering such bizarre words in my bridal chamber. I pretended not to have heard a thing and slowly pushed the door open. Gu Yan and Tang Mashwan clearly hadn't expected me to return alone. After a moment of panic, they hastily concocted a flimsy excuse to brush me off. After all, it was highly inappropriate for a sister-in-law and her brother-in-law to be alone together in the sister's bridal chamber, behaving in such a questionable manner. I pretended to believe their flimsy, full of holes excuse and sent Tang Mashwan off with a bright, beaming smile. Gu Yan, too, used the excuse of some earth-shatteringly urgent business at the company, leaving me all alone in the empty house. Finally alone, I didn't hesitate for a second before slipping the red jadeite bracelet off my wrist. My previously foggy mind cleared up considerably in that instant. Tang Mashwan's words just now only confirmed my suspicion that there's something wrong with this bracelet. 3. I rushed out immediately and scoured the entire city until I finally found a bracelet that was a near-perfect match. I put the fake one on and hurried straight to the hospital. During my hospital stay, I noticed an elderly woman in the next room who suffered from chronic incontinence and had no one to care for her. Posing as a distant relative, I easily gained access to her room. The old woman was already somewhat confused, so when I gave her that red jade bracelet, her smile was so wide it crinkled her eyes into little crescent moons. After finishing up, I hurried home. Gu Yan hadn't returned. That suited me perfectly. In my past life at this very moment, I was lying in a hospital bed, drifting in and out of sleep, while Gu Yan and Tang Muyuan were probably having a passionate affair in my own marital home. The thought made me sick to my stomach. Before I could even fall asleep, my mother called, "Moyu, come to the hospital quickly, your sister is sick." That fast, a wave of secret delight washed over me. Without bothering to tidy up, I rushed over in a hurry. I had just reached the entrance of the hospital when I heard about Tang Mashwan. While she was being intimate with her boyfriend in the hotel, she suddenly lost control of her bowels and bladder, covering the bed in excrement. When the paramedics arrived to carry her out, a foul mixture of feces and urine was still gushing from her lower body. The entire hotel hallway and elevator were soiled with the filth. Even the ambulance reeked horribly, and the medical staff couldn't stop complaining. On top of that, the hotel is demanding 50,000 yuan in cleaning fees. There's no way a piece of gossip this juicy could stay under wraps. By now, I'd bet the whole hospital knows. I never expected Granny to be so formidable. It's a genuine surprise, but it works perfectly for my plans. Tang Mashwan lay on the hospital bed, her face deathly pale, her eyes were shut tight, her brow furrowed, and faint, pained moans escaped her lips from time to time. She had been sickly and frail since childhood, teetering on the brink of death more than once. The doctors had even declared she wouldn't live past 25. She is 23 years old now, so that's why you're so eager to trade my life for yours. A pang of bitterness welled up in my heart, but it vanished instantly upon hearing my mother's words. What's wrong with our Mashwan? I thought a new bride's vital energy was supposed to be at its peak. How is it that girl seems completely unaffected, while Mashwan has fallen gravely ill? If it weren't for helping Mo Xian recover quickly, I wouldn't bother with that girl. having to pretend to care in front of her every day is utterly excruciating. They never expected I could get here so fast. That's why they were speaking so freely, without a care. I had a feeling all along that my mother's previous concern for me was nothing but an act. But what on earth did she mean by "a new bride's vital energy is at its peak"? Could it be? Did Gu Yan marry me just to swap fates with Tang Mashwan? My body began to tremble uncontrollably. A bone-chilling cold instantly washing over me. I paused outside the door for a long moment before slowly pushing it open. Gu Yan was there too, covered in filth and reeking of a foul stench, yet he remained utterly composed and indifferent. Looks like true love. Huh, he doesn't seem the least bit bothered. What took you so long? Your sister is sick, and it was A Yen who brought her here. Whether she was too flustered or simply didn't have the presence of mind to consider my feelings. My mother blurted it out. Even if she hadn't said it, I knew perfectly well. The man who checked into the hotel with Tang Mashwan was Gu Yan. Gu Yan looked at me with a hint of guilt, yet his expression remained unchanged. I'm not a doctor. I don't know how to treat anyone. Showing up earlier wouldn't have made a difference. Mother was taken aback. Her daughter, who had always been so docile and obedient, was actually talking back to her. She glanced sideways at the bracelet on my wrist and continued, "Don't forget to pay the hotel's 50,000 yuan compensation claim." I was stunned for a moment. In my past life, whenever Tang Mashwan needed money, Mother would always think of me. I even paid for her abortion. I never expected her to be pulling the same stunts in this life. Gu Yan probably has no idea. Tang Mashwan might appear pure, kind, and fragile, but she's actually entangled with several men at once, some of whom are married. It's not my mess, so why should I be the one to clean it up? This time, I wasn't going to just take it lying down. Besides, I needed that money for my future. Neither my mother nor Gu Yan had expected me to refuse so bluntly and firmly, and an awkward silence fell over them. I'll take care of the bill. Just as I remembered from my past life, every time Tang Mashwan got into trouble, Gu Yan was always the first to rush to her defense. He'd go on about how, as her brother-in-law, it was his duty to protect his sister-in-law, yet he never once spared a thought for how his own wife, me, might feel. Of course, he only married me for Tang Mashwan's sake in the first place. At that moment, Tang Mashwan's body seemed to lose all control. Wave after wave of filth expelled from her, and an unbearable stench instantly filled the room, making the entire hospital ward utterly revolting. I couldn't take it anymore. Covering my nose and mouth, I hurried out of the room. Standing in the corridor outside, I let out a bitter laugh, my heart filled with self-mockery and regret. How foolish I had been in my past life. Gu Yan and Tang Mashwan had carried on their affair right under my nose countless times, and I had been completely oblivious. For, in the days that followed, I brought Granny different kinds of food every day. The more she ate, the more she had to relieve herself, and the more Granny relieved herself, the more Tang Mashwan had to as well. She had to change the sheets and blankets every hour. The stench from her room permeated the neighboring wards. That was, until the day Gu Yan saw me coming out of Granny's room. He didn't speak, but the expression on his face clearly said he was waiting for an explanation. I told him the old woman was truly pitiful, which is why I brought her some food. Gu Yan shot a skeptical glance into the room before returning to Tang Mashwan's ward. Watching him walk away, I couldn't help but wonder, he can stand that awful smell. Is he really that into her? But I knew the bracelet could no longer stay on Grandma's wrist. I gave the bracelet to a homeless man under the overpass. He had no idea what it was, but he accepted it gladly. That man had been living rough for years. His mind was a little unhinged, his body crawling with lice, and his scalp covered in festering sores. Since this bracelet is supposed to be so valuable, I wanted to see just how powerful it really was. Just a few days after being discharged from the hospital, Tang Mashwan noticed something was wrong with her body. Large, painful sores began to sprout on her scalp, and no amount of washing or medication seemed to help. Lice started mysteriously appearing on her bedding and clothes, and their numbers kept growing. To make matters worse, itchy bumps began breaking out all over her body. The sore was red and itchy, gradually swelling until it began oozing foul-smelling pus. I remember the homeless man had identical sores on his body. The pus seeping relentlessly from Tang Mashwan soaked through her clothes, causing them to stick fast to her skin. Her mother helped her peel off the stinking garments and put on clean ones, but it wasn't long before the fresh clothes were glued to her skin once more. I made an excuse to go out and buy medicine for Tang Moyan, but I turned back just a few steps after leaving. "Mom, didn't you say that as long as Tang Moyu wears that bracelet, her life force would be transferred to me? But she looks perfectly fine, while I'm the one who, Tang Moyan endured the pain and itch, stomping her feet incessantly, looking utterly wretched. For this, Ayen went against his own heart and married her, and now, I've become this inexplicable third party. Her mother stood by, wanting to comfort her but not knowing how, and I, standing outside the door, heard every word she said with perfect clarity. I walked away quickly, my heart aching uncontrollably, even though I had already guessed their intentions. Hearing it spoken aloud from Tang Mashuan's lips broke me, and I couldn't hold back my tears. Gu Yan, the man I've had a crush on since university, for 4 whole years. I followed him around, buying him breakfast, saving him seats. He was always lukewarm towards me, but I never heard of him being interested in anyone else either. I thought he proposed because he was moved by my years of devotion. I never imagined it was all for Tang Moyan's sake, and that he wanted me dead. When did he get involved with Tang Moyan? I racked my brains trying to remember, but came up with nothing. Someone like me really is the easiest to fool, but this time, I won't be that foolish again. Before I could even buy the medicine and get back, Tang Yuxuan was rushed to the hospital again. No matter how hard the doctors tried to treat her, the lesions on her body would fade only to reappear, an endless cycle. To make matters worse, she was diagnosed with HIV/AIDS. That was something I hadn't anticipated, as I had no idea whether the homeless man had the disease. Tang Mashuan lay on the hospital bed, utterly devastated, murmuring over and over, I might as well be dead. When Ayen finds out, he'll surely abandon me. Just don't tell him then, it's your private information. The doctor won't disclose it to anyone without your permission. Such an utterly selfish remark could only have come from Tang Mashuan's mother, who loved her as if she were her own life. As for me, I pretended I hadn't heard it. Just when I thought Tang Mashuan might actually die this time, Gu Yan stormed into the hospital, his face a mask of fury. He was holding that red jade bracelet in his hand. Explain why the bracelet Xian gave you ended up with a homeless man. Xian, how affectionate, can't even be bothered to pretend anymore. Can you? Mother glanced at the object in Gu Yan's hand, then grabbed my own. Tang Moyu, what's going on here? Mom, Ayen, please don't be upset. Let me explain. I accidentally lost the bracelet my sister gave me when I went out. I was afraid you'd be angry with me, so I bought a similar one to wear instead. I put on my best look of innocent distress and trotted out the excuse I had prepared long ago, but I never expected Gu Yan to find that homeless man so quickly. It seems Tang Mashuan's luck is holding out. Then put it on quickly. Take that fake one off. Maybe I should just put it away. It's such a valuable bracelet, I'd feel uneasy wearing it. What if I lost it again? I feigned hesitation, testing to see if my mother would show even the slightest hint of a change of heart, but in the end, I didn't get the result I wanted. What nonsense are you talking? Of course you should wear something your sister gave you, otherwise it's no use, useless now. My mother didn't respond to my question, her mind set on replacing that bracelet for me. With a flick of my wrist, I sent the bracelet clattering to the floor. A shame, it didn't break. My mother quickly picked it up and, ignoring my struggles, forced it onto me. 5. Sure enough, Tang Yuxuan was discharged from the hospital the very next day, full of energy. As for me, a sharp, needle-like pain began to spread from head to toe. What I never expected was that the bracelet simply wouldn't come off. I tried everything, but even as my wrist bled profusely, the bracelet remained fused to my skin, utterly immovable. In despair, I stared at it, watching in horror as it slowly absorbed the blood from my wrist. I was so terrified I wanted to scream, only to find my mother staring back at me with a look of pure triumph. Why, am I not your daughter? Why would you do this? I screamed until my voice was raw, as if trying to purge all the grievances and rage from a past life. That's right, you are not my daughter. You were just raised to serve as a life exchange vessel for Xian. I stared at her in disbelief, listening as she slowly recounted the past. So, I wasn't her biological daughter after all. My mother was my father's first love. She died from postpartum hemorrhage shortly after giving birth to me. Tang Mashuan's mother seized the opportunity, successfully married my father, but not long after Tang Mashuan was born, my father passed away as well. I could never understand why my mother was so cold and distant towards me. From childhood, all her attention was lavished on my sister. If my sister got hurt, I was the one who got beaten. If my sister made a mistake, I was the one who got punished. She even allowed Tang Mashuan to frame me and bully me on countless occasions. Now, It all finally makes sense. The reason Tang Mashwan's mother kept me alive and raised me in good health was because she had long harbored the idea of using me to exchange fates with her daughter. However, while my father was alive, she had no opportunity. Furthermore, a new bride's vital essence is at its peak and is most nourishing for her daughter, which is why she held off until now. No wonder she frantically arranged blind dates for me the moment I reached the legal marriage age. It's just that I wasn't interested in a single one of them. Later, when she found out I had always been infatuated with Gu Yan, she had him propose to me. How they managed to persuade Gu Yan to join them in such a depraved act, I have no idea. One thing is certain, though, they had planned all along to take my life. By having Gu Yan take my phone, she thought she had left me helpless, with no choice but to wait for death. But I've already died once, I'm not about to give up that easily. Seizing the moment while she was distracted, I retrieved the spare phone I had hidden under the bed and swiftly uploaded that video to the internet. It was the video of Gu Yan and Tang Mashwan, shamelessly entangled in my own marital bedroom. On the very first day after my rebirth, I secretly installed a camera in the room, to ensure the clearest possible footage. I even bought the most expensive pinhole camera on the market, all for the day it would serve as my lifeline. Tang Mashwan and Gu Yan didn't disappoint me either. Whenever I was away from home, they would carry on their affair right in my wedding chamber. The video quickly went viral across the entire internet and even trended on social media. In the video, the man and woman were completely naked and utterly uninhibited. Their every move, gesture, and facial expression was captured in crystal clear detail. 6. Tang Mashwan's mother answered a phone call, then glared at me with pure venom. "Tang Moyu," she hissed, "if anything happens to your sister, you're as good as dead." With that, he left without so much as a backward glance. I couldn't help but laugh bitterly to myself. Haven't you all been wishing for my death all along? I faintly overheard from that phone call that Tang Mashwan was going to jump off a building. No wonder she couldn't be bothered with watching me. Her precious daughter was about to jump. I grabbed the things I had prepared in advance and tried to make a quick escape, but the door was locked from the outside. She had locked the door again. In my past life, they locked me in a room just like this. I cried out to the heavens and the earth, but no one came to my aid. It wasn't until I was gravely ill that they finally sent me to the hospital. I only saw their true colors when I was on my deathbed. I was a fool, blinded by my own stupidity, so I guess my death wasn't entirely undeserved. I couldn't help but smack my own forehead. Thankfully, this time, I had come prepared. I retrieved the rope I had hidden in the wardrobe, tied one end around my waist, fastened the other to a post by the window, and slowly lowered myself down. I was immensely grateful my apartment was only on the second floor, otherwise, this plan would have been impossible. I checked into a hotel near the station, quickly opened my laptop, and prepared to watch the spectacle of Tang Mashwan's intended jump. There she was on the rooftop, crying and carrying on, repeatedly wailing, "I can't face anyone anymore, I'd be better off dead." In the frame, Tang Mashwan's mother and Gu Yan were both present, desperately trying to talk her down from the ledge. Fire trucks, ambulances, police cars, and reporters had the street below completely blocked off. Tang Mashwan stood there, a picture of tearful distress, making several aborted attempts but never actually jumping. Just like last time, every time she doesn't get her way, it's the same old song and dance. If she really wanted to die, she wouldn't be resorting to these underhanded tactics to force my hand. Let's see how long she can keep up this charade. After a long standoff, Tang Mashwan's emotions seemed to settle for a moment. Just as she was about to grasp her mother's outstretched hand, someone in the crowd shouted, "I heard the man in the video is your brother-in-law. TSK TSK, how shameless can you be?" Tang Mashwan instantly burst into loud sobs, turned around, and immediately jumped. One might have thought her jump would end it all, but to everyone's shock, her mother stepped onto the rooftop ledge where Tang Mashwan stood and swiftly grabbed her hand. Yet, how could she possibly hold on to Tang Mashwan, who was much heavier and whose body was already leaning over the edge? Just like that, the two of them, hand in hand, plummeted down together. The firefighters had already laid out a safety air cushion below, thinking that even if she did jump, her life wouldn't be in danger. But who could have known that while still in midair, Tang Mashwan struggled and thrashed wildly. She was quite strong, and her mother was slight of build. With that one violent motion, she flung her mother clear of the air cushion's safety zone. The outcome was predictable. Tang Mashwan was saved, but her mother fell to her death. Later, when questioned by the police, Tang Moshwan stated she was too panicked at the time and wasn't clear about what she was doing. The police had no choice but to let her leave with Gu Yan. The outcome left me staring at my computer screen in shock, but a sense of grim satisfaction quickly washed over me. That woman had it coming a long time ago. To my even greater surprise, the moment Tang Moshwan's mother died, the bracelet on my wrist could finally be removed. I figured such an eerie object shouldn't be kept, so I decided to smash it to pieces. No matter how hard I hit it, it remained completely undamaged. Looks like I need to figure out a proper way to deal with it. 7. On the day of my mother's funeral, I reached out to Tang Moshwan, but she was the one who started questioning me. "You're not even going to attend your own mother's funeral," she said it with such righteous indignation, as if she'd never done a single thing to wrong me, but I had no mind to deal with her and Gu Yan right now. My vengeance wasn't complete. "Who says I'm not attending? I'm right here, aren't I?" Tang Moshwan turned around and saw me, her eyes widened in shock, as big as saucers, completely unaware of when I had appeared behind her. "Ever since I took off that bracelet." She began to waste away visibly, her face took on a sickly pallor, a far cry from how she looked on the day she jumped. She stopped calling me sister, only glaring at me with pure malice. "I can't believe you installed a camera in the room. I'm going to sue you for violating my privacy. I've never seen someone so shameless and quick to play the victim. What business is it of yours if I install cameras in my own house? You should be thanking your lucky stars I haven't come after you two lovebirds." Tang Moshwan was so furious she was practically gasping for air, and I had no desire to engage with her any further. I wept bitterly before my mother's memorial. Every mourner who came to pay their respects looked at me with a mixture of heartache and pity. Pity me for losing my mother, and pity me for being betrayed by both my own sister and my husband. Once most of the mourners had left, I immediately dropped the heartbroken act and looked at Tang Moshwan with a beaming smile. "You killed my mother, and you have the nerve to smile." She lunged at me, trying to hit me, but her emaciated body was no match for me now. With a casual shove, I sent her tumbling to the floor. Seeing this, Gu Yan immediately rushed over to help her up. The look he gave me was filled with not just disgust, but outright hatred. "Xian is pregnant, and you still pushed her. What kind of a sister are you?" In that moment, I realized how blind I had been to ever fall for someone like him, someone who betrayed and used me, and now had the gall to accuse me. No wonder she's so devoted to Tang Moshwan. They're two of a kind. It suddenly came back to me. In my past life, Tang Moshwan had also been pregnant, but the child wasn't Gu Yan's. At that thought, I couldn't help but burst into laughter. The man I had loved for so many years was actually this foolish. Tang Moshwan demanded that I divorce Gu Yan. I agreed, on the condition that I could see my mother one last time. She had no idea I already knew the truth of what had happened. She simply thought I was drowning in grief over my mother's loss. Tang Moshwan was too unwell to pay me any mind, which was just as well. If she had been watching me the whole time, it would have been difficult for me to act. I stroked my mother's pale, cold face, a faint smile touching my lips. I placed the red jade bracelet Tang Moshwan had given me onto my deceased mother's wrist, then signaled for the coffin to be sealed. In accordance with my mother's final wishes, we laid her to rest in a traditional burial. I felt a secret relief. Had we chosen cremation, the bracelet would likely have been lost to the flames. After my mother's funeral, Gu Yan and I went to the Civil Affairs Bureau. Due to the mandatory 30-day cooling-off period, we could only file for divorce and schedule it for later. Tang Moshwan was clearly reluctant, but there was nothing she could do to stop me. In the days that followed, I simply watched and waited. After all, I had no idea what effect that bracelet would have on a dead person's hand. Besides, at this time in my previous life, I was already on my deathbed in the hospital, so I had no knowledge of anything that happened afterward. 8. It wasn't until that day, in the hospital corridor thick with the smell of antiseptic, that I accidentally ran into Tang Moyan, who was being supported by Gu Yan. She had lost the baby. Whether it was the blow of losing the child or the effect of that bracelet, she looked years older. Her whole body was badly swollen, her once delicate features now somewhat distorted. The thick, glossy black hair she had been so proud of was almost all gone. The look she gave me was vacant, like a stagnant pool of lifeless water, utterly devoid of any ripple of emotion. Standing there, watching her from a distance, I could clearly sense an aura of decay emanating from her entire being. That Gu Yan would stand by her side even at a time like this stirred a genuine flicker of emotion within me, yet I did not approach. I simply turned away in silence and walked off. The very next day, Tang Moshwan, as if possessed, suddenly brandished a knife and slashed at Gu Yan, who was still fast asleep. He died on the spot. Tang Moshuan also died in the detention center just a few days after being arrested. It is said that within hours of her death, her body rapidly began to emit a foul stench. Her once vibrant red muscles turned a dull gray, becoming soft and putrid, crawling with dense, wriggling maggots that attracted a swarm of buzzing flies. The detention center staff hurriedly transported her body to the crematorium and then notified me to come collect the ashes. After all, I'm the only one left alive in this family. Without a shred of mercy, I poured Tang Moshuan's ashes into a remote, deserted cesspit and walked away without looking back. I need to hurry and get the inheritance paperwork sorted. I'm thankful I never officially divorced Gu Yan, so his estate naturally passed to me. On top of that, my mother's and Tang Moshuan's assets all came to me without exception. With all my inheritance in tow, I boarded the plane bound for a foreign land. This time, the curtain was finally rising on my life of unbridled freedom and adventure. The end. Story 2. Dina Qiao was just placing the last dish on the table when Sage Zhou pushed the door open and walked in, dressed in a sharp suit. He carried a chestnut cake, Dina Qiao's favorite, in his hand. Thanks for your hard work, sweetheart. He planted a kiss on Dina Qiao's cheek, his fingers naturally brushing over her shoulder. I came back early to help you since it's the class reunion today. Dina Qiao smiled and took the cake. After 7 years of marriage, Sage Zhou had always been the model husband in their circle of friends. He came home on time, remembered all anniversaries, and handed over his salary card. Even her best friend said she had struck gold. Are El Lin and the others here yet? Sage Zhou asked as he loosened his tie. On the way. Dina Qiao set the table. You said you were inviting colleagues, so I called a few more friends. Sage Zhou paused for a moment but quickly regained composure. The more, the merrier. The doorbell rang. Dina Qiao went to open the door. It was El Lin. She was wearing a form-fitting dress, with impeccable makeup, holding a bottle of red wine in her hand. Hello, sister-in-law. El Lin smiled sweetly. Is Brother Zhou here? Dina Qiao stepped aside to let her in. El Lin was the new designer at Sage Zhou's company and had started appearing frequently in their lives 6 months ago. She was present at weekend gatherings, company events, and even Dina Qiao's birthday. Friends arrived one after another. At the dining table, Sage Zhou served dishes and poured water for Dina Qiao. As attentive as ever, El Lin sat across the table, occasionally exchanging glances with Sage Zhou. After several rounds of drinks, Dina Qiao went to the kitchen to cut fruit. Through the half-open door crack, she saw Sage Zhou and El Lin standing on the balcony. The night breeze carried their conversation to her ears. Same place next Wednesday. El Lin's voice. She's visiting her parents. Sage Zhou's hometown accent slipped out. Missed you so much. Dina Qiao's finger was cut by the fruit knife. A bead of blood welled up, yet she felt no pain. Her ears buzzed as if someone were ringing a bell inside her head. Sister-in-law. El Lin suddenly appeared at the kitchen door. Need any help? Dina Qiao shook her head mechanically. El Lin's gaze fell on her bleeding finger, the corner of her mouth lifting slightly. That night, Dina Qiao lay in bed with Sage Zhou's arm around her waist. His breathing was even, like an innocent child. Dina Qiao lay awake until dawn. The next day was Sunday. Sage Zhou said he had to work overtime and hurried out the door. Dina Qiao stood by the window, watching his car leave the neighborhood, then picked up her phone. Hello, it's me, she said to the person on the other end of the line. Help me look into someone. 3 days later, Dina Qiao received a file folder. Here is El Lin's information. 26 years old, unmarried, from the same hometown as Sage Zhou. More importantly, her rental agreement, signed by Sage Zhou. Dina Qiao locked the documents in the drawer. She began to pay close attention to Sage Zhou's every move. While he was showering, she checked his phone. The password hadn't changed, but the WeChat chat history was completely clean. Dina Qiao downloaded a recovery app, and the deleted messages surfaced one by one. Not tonight, she's home, I miss the scent of you, just wait a little longer, I'll divorce her. Dina Qiao took a screenshot and uploaded it to the cloud. Her hands were steady, her heartbeat normal. When Sage Zhou came home, Dina Qiao was cooking. He hugged her from behind. Darling, you smell so good. Dina Qiao turned around with a perfect smile. Wash your hands and let's eat. After dinner, Sage Zhou said he needed to work overtime in the study. Dina Qiao brought him a cup of tea and then returned to the bedroom. She turned on the computer and logged into Sage Zhou's cloud account. The password was their wedding anniversary. In the synchronized notes, There was a folder named Project A. Upon opening it, Dina Chow saw hotel reservation records, transfer receipts, and even contact information for a divorce lawyer. The earliest file was dated a year ago, when she was busy taking care of her sick mother. Dina Chow closed the laptop. Outside the window, rain began to fall, the droplets hitting the glass like countless tiny fingers scratching. The next day, Dina Chow took a day off. On the third day, she followed Sage Zhou to the company and then trailed Lin. On the fourth day, the young girl walked into a cafe where Sage Zhou was already waiting. On the fifth day, they sat in a corner, with Lin's hand on Sage Zhou's leg, laughing uncontrollably. Dina Chow took a photo and turned to leave. She went to the bank and printed out the transaction records from the past year. Large expenditures were labeled as official business, but the recipients were furniture stores, jewelry shops, and travel agencies. In the evening, Sage Zhou sent a message saying he had a business dinner. Dina Chow drove to his company building and watched as he walked out arm in arm with Lin, then got into a taxi. She followed them all the way until they entered a hotel. Sitting in her car, Dina Chow sent a message to her best friend. "I've got the evidence." Her phone lit up with a message from Sage Zhou. "Honey, I might be very late tonight, don't wait up for me." Dina Chow didn't respond. She opened the navigation app and entered an address, Lin's home address from the document folder. The apartment was new, and the security guard recognized her. "Good evening, Mrs. Zhou. Here to see Mr. Zhou. He just got back." Dina Chow smiled and nodded. In the elevator, her finger hovered over the doorbell, but in the end, she didn't press it. She crouched down and saw 2 pairs of shoes through the door crack. Sage Zhou's leather shoes and a pair of red high heels. Back home, Dina Chow made herself a cup of tea. A comedy was playing on the TV, with the actors laughing uproariously. She picked up her phone, took a photo of the wedding picture on the coffee table, and then deleted all the backups from the cloud. Zhou Sage didn't return until dawn, carrying a faint scent of perfume. He climbed into bed quietly and fell asleep quickly. Dina Chow lay awake in the darkness, planning her next move. At daybreak, Dina Chow went to the law firm. "I'd like to consult about divorce," she said to the lawyer. "My husband had an affair." The lawyer slid a form across the table. "Do you have evidence?" Dina Chow opened her phone's photo album, swiping through images one by one: WeChat records, bank statements, hotel surveillance screenshots, and last night's shoe cabinet by the apartment entrance. "Is this enough?" she asked. The lawyer nodded. "That's enough." Stepping out of the law firm, Dina Chow took a deep breath. The sky was blue, the sunlight dazzling. She pulled out her phone and dialed the real estate agent's number. "I want to sell the house," she said, "as soon as possible." At 6 in the morning, Sage Zhou's alarm went off. He quickly turned it off and got out of bed quietly, careful not to wake Dina Chow. Dina Chow lay with her eyes closed, listening to the sound of her husband washing up in the bathroom. The sound of water stopped, and Sage Zhou returned to the bedside, leaning down to plant a kiss on her forehead. "Sweetheart, I'll go make breakfast," he whispered, as if handling something fragile. Dina Chow pretended to have just woken up, rubbing her eyes. "So early? Today is the second day of your period." Sage Zhou tied his apron, smiling gently. "I'll make you brown sugar ginger tea." The soft clatter of a spatula came from the kitchen. Dina Chow picked up her phone from beside the pillow. A new message appeared on the screen. "Footage from December 3rd at Grand Hyatt has been retrieved. Video sent to your email." She deleted the message and got up to wash and dress. The woman in the mirror had faint dark circles under her eyes, yet her lips curved into a perfect smile. On the dining table lay fried eggs, toast, and steaming ginger tea. Sage Zhou was juicing fruits, his back as straight as a pine tree. "It's the weekend, any plans?" Dina Chow took small sips of the ginger tea, finding the sweetness just right. Sage Zhou wiped his hands. "I'll stay with you at home in the morning. But there's a client I need to meet at the company in the afternoon." He paused. "I might be back late tonight, so don't wait for me for dinner." "Okay." Dina Chow nodded. "Don't drink too much." Sage Zhou walked behind her and massaged her shoulders. "Don't worry, I remember." His fingers applied just the right amount of pressure. "I quit drinking after that last stomach hemorrhage." Dina Chow lowered her eyes. That time with the stomach hemorrhage. She had stayed by his side in the hospital for 3 days. The medical records stated excessive alcohol consumption, dated on Lin's birthday. After breakfast, Sage Zhou volunteered to wash the dishes. Dina Chow sat on the sofa flipping through a magazine when she caught sight of her husband's phone on the coffee table out of the corner of her eye. The screen lit up with a WeChat message. The room key is in the usual place. 303, Sage Zhou walked out while drying his hands, saw the phone, and remained expressionless. He naturally picked up his phone and said with a smile, "Honey, I'm going to the supermarket to buy some things. What would you like for lunch?" "Anything," Dina Qiao replied without looking up. "I like whatever you make." Sage Zhou kissed her cheek again before leaving. Dina Qiao waited until the elevator doors closed, then immediately walked to the window. 5 minutes later, Sage Zhou's car drove out of the neighborhood, heading in the opposite direction of the supermarket. Dina Qiao put on her coat, a mask, and a baseball cap. She followed the location on her phone. Last week, while Sage Zhou was showering, she had planted a tracker in his car, room 303 at the Junhui Hotel. Dina Qiao stood at the end of the hallway, watching as the waiter pushed the meal cart inside. The moment the door opened, she heard Lin's laughter. 2 hours later, Sage Zhou emerged. He looked refreshed, adjusting his tie as he walked. Dina Qiao hid in the fire escape, capturing photos of his departure. On the way home, Sage Zhou indeed stopped by the supermarket. Dina Qiao watched his back as he carefully selected steak and red wine, her stomach churning. "Honey, I'm back," Sage Zhou said as he entered with shopping bags. "I bought the steak you love." Dina Qiao, who was watering the plants, turned around and asked, "Didn't you say you had a business dinner tonight?" "I turned it down." Sage Zhou approached, carrying a faint scent of shower gel. He had already taken a shower. "I wanted to spend more time with you." Dinner was lavish. Sage Zhou shared amusing stories from the company, making Dina Qiao laugh heartily. After the meal, he took the initiative to clear the table and even tidied up the fridge. "Honey, your skincare products are almost out." Sage Zhou pointed at the serum on the bathroom counter. "I asked a friend to bring 2 bottles from abroad. They'll arrive next week." Dina Qiao felt a pang in her heart. This serum costs over 2,000 a bottle, something she usually couldn't bring herself to buy. Meanwhile, Lin had posted the same product on her social media with the caption, "Thanks, darling." Late at night, after Sage Zhou had fallen asleep, Dina Qiao checked his phone again. WeChat remained clean, but she discovered an encrypted photo album. The password wasn't one of the usual ones. Dina Qiao tried Lin's birthday, wrong. Then she tried the date of their first date, still incorrect. When she entered her own birthday, the photo album opened. It was filled entirely with photos of Lin, beach bikinis, hotel beds, even selfies of Sage Zhou with her in bed. The earliest one was taken during the time Dina Qiao's mother was hospitalized last year. Dina Qiao's hands began to tremble. She kept scrolling and found a video. When she clicked to play it, Sage Zhou's voice came through. "Once I divorce her, we'll get married, we'll leave this shabby house to her, and I'll buy a new one." The video was dated 3 months ago. On Dina Qiao's birthday, Sage Zhou said he was going on a business trip, but in reality, he took Lin to Sanya. Dina Qiao sent the video to her own phone and deleted the sending record. She put down her phone and looked at her sleeping husband. Under the moonlight, his profile looked so familiar yet strange. The next day was Monday. Sage Zhou got up even earlier, prepared a hearty breakfast, and even ironed Dina Qiao's shirt. "It's getting colder today, dress warmly." He helped Dina Qiao put on her coat and handed her a thermos. "Red date tea, remember to drink it." Dina Qiao thanked him and watched as he drove away. Then she turned and went home, opened her computer, and logged into Sage Zhou's email. The password was the location of their first date. There were dozens of unread hotel booking confirmations in the inbox, all labeled as meetings. Dina Qiao took screenshots one by one and then checked the trash folder. Inside were several explicit emails from Lin, all sent on nights when Sage Zhou was working overtime. At noon, Dina Qiao arranged to have lunch with her best friend Su Meng. "You've lost weight," Su Meng observed, looking her over. "Work too exhausting." Dina Qiao stirred her salad. "Sage Zhou cheated on me." Su Meng's fork clattered onto the plate with a sharp sound. "No way." She lowered her voice. "He treats you so well. The whole company knows he's henpecked." Dina Qiao opened her phone's photo album and swiped to the encrypted section. After looking at the photos, Su Meng turned pale. "That bitch is Lin." 6 months, Dina Qiao said calmly, "maybe longer." "What are you planning to do?" Dina Qiao put away her phone. "First, gather evidence." Her eyes were icy. "He's acting so convincingly, I should give him an award." After dinner, Dina Qiao went to the bank. She printed out all the transaction records from the joint account and discovered that large sums of money had been transferred to an unfamiliar account over the past 6 months. The teller informed her that this was a private account newly opened by Sage Zhou last month. on her way home. Dina Chow received a call from Sage Zhou. "Honey, a few colleagues are having dinner tonight, would you like to join us?" "Sure." Dina Chow agreed readily. "Where?" There was a pause on the other end of the line. "Just that hot pot restaurant near the company." Dina Chow knows that shop. Last week, Lin posted on her social media with a location tag there, and in the corner of the photo, half of a man's hand was visible, wearing a wedding ring identical to Sage Zhou's. At 7 in the evening, Dina Chow dressed up carefully and went to the appointment. There were 7 or 8 people sitting in the private room, and Lin was among them. She saw Dina Chow, and her smile froze for a moment. "Hello, sister-in-law." Lin quickly regained her composure and warmly linked arms with Dina Chow. "Brother Zhou said you usually don't like attending gatherings, so today is really special." Sage Zhou pulled out the chair beside him. "Wife, sit here." At the dinner table, Sage Zhou took great care of Dina Chow, serving her food and pouring water, drawing teasing remarks from their colleagues. Lin sat across, occasionally exchanging glances with Sage Zhou. Midway, Dina Chow went to the restroom. Upon returning, she saw Sage Zhou and Lin pressed close together at the hallway corner. Lin's hand slipped into Sage Zhou's shirt as they kissed passionately. Dina Chow retreated around the corner, waiting for them to separate before showing herself. Back in the private room, Sage Zhou was serving her soup. "Darling, drink it while it's hot." When the gathering ended, Sage Zhou wrapped his arm around Dina Chow's waist as they walked toward the parking lot. Lin and her colleagues trailed behind, their laughter piercing the air. "I'll give Lin a ride," Sage Zhou suddenly said. "Her place is on the way." Dina Chow nodded with a smile. "Be safe." She watched Sage Zhou's car drive out of the parking lot, then hailed a taxi. "Follow that black Audi," she told the driver. Sage Zhou didn't drive Lin home. The car stopped in front of a motel, and the two walked in hand. Dina Chow took a photo and checked the time, 11 p.m., exactly when his usual overtime would end. Returning home, Dina Chow made herself a cup of coffee. On the computer screen was the evidence folder she had compiled. Photos, videos, audio recordings, bank statements, enough to ruin Sage Zhou's reputation. But she wasn't in a hurry yet. Dina Chow tapped open her phone and looked at the message from Sage Zhou. "Honey, Lin's place is too far. I might be back late. Go to sleep first. Don't wait for me." Dina Chow replied, "Okay, drive carefully." She put down her phone and opened the wardrobe. At the very back was a hidden compartment containing a document folder. Dina Chow took out the photos inside. They were taken last week by someone she hired, showing Sage Zhou and Lin viewing a property. The real estate agent's smile was obsequious, while Sage Zhou had his arm around Lin's waist, pointing at the showroom and saying something. The photo was dated the week Dina Chow was on a business trip, when Sage Zhou said he needed to accompany a client. Dina Chow added the new photo to the folder and locked it back in the hidden compartment. Outside the window, the night rain began to fall again. She stood by the window, waiting for her husband to return, her expression as calm as still water. The morning sunlight filtered through the sheer curtains into the bedroom, and Dina Chow opened her eyes to find a deep blue velvet box placed beside her pillow. She reached out and opened it, revealing a diamond necklace that sparkled with a cold brilliance in the morning light. "Happy anniversary." Sage Zhou stood by the bed with a breakfast tray, his smile so tender it could melt hearts. 7 years, my love." Dina Chow sat up, her fingers gently tracing the necklace. She remembered this design. Lin had posted it in her social media feed last month with the caption, "Great taste," and she had liked it at the time. "Do you like it?" Sage Zhou set down the tray and personally fastened the necklace around her neck. "I specifically asked a friend to bring it back from Italy for me." Dina Chow touched the diamond resting between her collarbones, icy and piercing to the touch. "It's beautiful, thank you." She tilted her head up to accept her husband's kiss, tasting the mint of toothpaste and the hypocrisy on his lips. Breakfast was heart-shaped fried eggs and freshly squeezed orange juice. Sage Zhou sat across from her, gazing intently. "I've reserved a table at the revolving restaurant for tonight, just the two of us." Dina Chow took small sips of the orange juice, the sweet and sour taste spreading on her tongue. "Don't you have work today?" "Took half a day off." Sage Zhou wiped the corner of his mouth. "There's an important meeting this afternoon. I'll come pick you up right after." He glanced at his watch. "I have to go now, honey." Dina Chow saw him to the door and straightened his tie for him. Sage Zhou took the opportunity to wrap his arm around her waist and whispered in her ear, 7 years. "And I still love you this much." As the elevator doors closed, the smile on Dina Qiao's face vanished instantly. She took off the necklace and examined it carefully against the light, discovering a line of tiny letters on the clasp, LYZMY, the initials of El Lin and Sage Zhou. Dina Qiao placed the necklace back in the box and picked up her phone to check the location. Sage Zhou's car wasn't heading toward the company but instead driving to the upscale apartment district in the east of the city, El Lin's residence. She turned on her computer and logged into the cloud. The monitoring software installed last night had already synced Sage Zhou's phone gallery. The most recent photo was a selfie of El Lin in a sexy nightgown, timestamped at 6 this morning, when he was supposedly preparing a surprise breakfast. Dina Qiao shut down the computer and walked into the bathroom. While brushing her teeth, she noticed a small hairpin stuck at the edge of the sink, pink rhinestones, not her style. She picked up the hairpin, recalling the selfie El Lin had posted last week, wearing the same style in her hair. At noon, Dina Qiao arranged to meet with a private investigator at a cafe. The other person handed her a USB drive, footage from yesterday. Quite interesting. Dina Qiao inserted the USB drive into her laptop. In the video, Sage Zhou and El Lin are kissing passionately in the apartment elevator, his hand reaching under her skirt. The date was yesterday. The timestamp showing 3 p.m., the same time he told Dina Qiao he was meeting a client. And this, the detective slides over a copy of a receipt. Your husband paid a year's rent last month using your joint account. Dina Qiao stares at the amount, enough to buy the designer bag she's been eyeing for months. The one Sage Zhou always called too expensive whenever they passed the store window. Back home, Dina Qiao hid the USB drive in a secret compartment, just as she had composed herself. Sage Zhou called, "Honey, the meeting's over, I'm on my way to pick you up." The revolving restaurant is located at the top of the tallest building in the city center. Sage Zhou had reserved a window seat, with the city lights outside cascading like a river of stars. "Do you remember our first date?" Sage Zhou held Dina Qiao's hand. "It was a night view just like this." Dina Qiao smiled and nodded. Of course she remembered, that day. Sage Zhou wore a light blue shirt and was so nervous that he spilled red wine on the tablecloth. And now, he was wearing the watch El Lin had given him, its face glistening under the candlelight. When the main course arrived, Sage Zhou's phone lit up. Dina Qiao caught a glimpse of the message preview on the lock screen. "Miss you, same place tonight." The sender was Boss Wang, his contact name for El Lin. Without changing his expression, Sage Zhou flipped his phone over. Clients always reach out after work hours. He cut a piece of steak and fed it to Dina Qiao. "Try it, your favorite medium rare." Dina Qiao obediently opened her mouth. The meat was tender, but it might as well have been flavorless. Her gaze went over Sage Zhou's shoulder, landing on the restaurant entrance. El Lin was walking in with a girl, wearing a low-cut dress, the familiar sparkle of diamonds glinting at her collarbone. "What's wrong?" Sage Zhou followed her line of sight and turned around, his body visibly stiffening for a moment. "That girl's necklace is the same as mine," Dina Qiao said pointedly. "What a coincidence." Sage Zhou's Adam's apple bobbed. "Must be a knockoff." He quickly changed the subject. "Dessert, chocolate lava cake or tiramisu?" After dinner, Sage Zhou suggested taking a walk. Passing by a jewelry store, he pointed at a bracelet in the display window. "Like it? I'll get it for your birthday next month." Dina Qiao remembered that bracelet. 2 weeks ago, El Lin posted the same item with the caption "the best gift." She held her husband's arm and said, "This is too extravagant. Let's save the money for a house." Sage Zhou's expression subtly changed. "Buy a house? Didn't you say last time you wanted to upgrade to a bigger one?" Dina Qiao asked, pretending to be naive. "Ah. Right," Sage Zhou responded vaguely. "We'll talk about it when the market improves." Upon returning home, Sage Zhou mentioned there was an urgent email to reply to and disappeared into the study. Dina Qiao changed into her pajamas, intentionally leaving the bedroom door slightly ajar. Through the crack in the door, she overheard her husband's hushed voice. "No, not today, she might get suspicious. We'll talk tomorrow during overtime." Dina Qiao gently closed the door and retrieved the voice recorder from under the pillow. She bought it last week and has already recorded countless similar conversations. The next morning, Sage Zhou woke up earlier than usual. He prepared a hearty breakfast and even helped Dina Qiao pick out her outfit. "I have to work overtime today, might be late." He kissed Dina Qiao's forehead. "Don't wait up for me." Dina Qiao nodded. "Be careful." After Sage Zhou left, Dina Qiao opened the tracking app on her phone. His car indeed headed towards El Lin's apartment. She dialed a number. "He's on his way, you can start now." At 3 p.m., Dina Qiao received a set of photos. Sage Zhou and Elle Lin were kissing on the balcony, with the bedroom curtains wide open, showing no restraint. The angle of the photos indicated that the photographer was in the building across the street. Dina Qiao saved the photos and began organizing the photo albums from the past 7 years. In every group photo, Sage Zhou's smile is so genuine, his arm around her so strong. As she flipped to the most recent one, she suddenly noticed Sage Zhou's right ring finger was bare. He had said he took it off for working out that day. That evening, Sage Zhou sent a message, "Might have to pull an all-nighter for overtime, you go ahead and sleep." Attached was a photo of his office, with half a coffee cup deliberately visible in the corner. Dina Qiao zoomed in on the photo and saw a blurred reflection in the coffee cup. Elle Lin was buttoning up his shirt. She put down her phone and turned on the TV. The evening news was broadcasting local headlines when the screen suddenly cut to the entrance of a luxury hotel. The reporter excitedly covered a celebrity scandal, while in the background, Sage Zhou and Elle Lin walked hand in hand through the revolving door. Dina Qiao pressed the record button. The camera flashed by. But it was enough to recognize. She turned off the TV, walked into the bathroom, and turned on the faucet. The hot water washed over her body, but it couldn't rinse away the filthy feeling of betrayal. Late at night, Dina Qiao was startled awake by the sound of the door opening. She pretended to be fast asleep, sensing Sage Zhou tiptoeing into bed, carrying the unfamiliar scent of shower gel. In the morning, Sage Zhou had already prepared breakfast, looking radiant. "It's the company annual party today," he said while tying his tie. "Do you want to come along?" Dina Qiao stirred her oatmeal. "Sure." "What time?" Sage Zhou visibly paused. "It starts at 7, but doesn't your department have a project due tomorrow? It can be postponed." Dina Qiao looked straight into his eyes. "I'd like to meet your colleague." Sage Zhou's smile stiffened slightly. "That's great." He glanced at his watch. "I need to go early to prepare. Shall I pick you up tonight?" Dina Qiao nodded. As soon as Sage Zhou left, she immediately called Su Meng. "Help me check if their annual party allows bringing family members." At noon, Su Meng called back. "I checked with HR, and this year's policy only allows spouses to be brought along." She paused for a moment. "But Elle Lin, as the department assistant, must attend." Dina Qiao smiled. "Perfectly suits my plans." In the evening, Dina Qiao wore a bright red dress and had her makeup done meticulously. When Sage Zhou saw her, his eyes widened. "Honey, you look stunning today." The annual gala venue was resplendent in gold and splendor. Sage Zhou kept his arm around Dina Qiao's waist the entire time, boasting to colleagues, "My wife, isn't she beautiful?" Elle Lin, dressed in a pristine white gown, moved gracefully among the guests as part of the staff. Whenever she drew near, Sage Zhou's fingers would subtly tighten. Brother Zhou and his wife are truly a model couple. Xiao Zhang from the marketing department raised his glass. "When are you planning to have kids?" Sage Zhou laughed it off. "We'll let nature take its course." Dina Qiao noticed the smug curve at the corner of Elle Lin's lips upon hearing this. She deliberately leaned closer to her husband. "Honey, I'm feeling a bit dizzy. Could you accompany me to the balcony for some fresh air?" The balcony was empty. Sage Zhou was about to say something when Dina Qiao suddenly pointed into the distance. "Is that your colleague?" While he turned to look, Dina Qiao quickly slipped the voice recorder into his suit pocket. It was her newly purchased remote-controlled model, capable of real-time transmission. Back at the venue, the host announced the start of the dance. Sage Zhou gallantly invited Dina Qiao for the first dance. As the music started playing, his phone vibrated. Dina Qiao caught a glimpse of the lit-up screen. "I'll wait for you in the room first." Still from Boss Wang. After the dance, Sage Zhou said she was going to the restroom. Dina Qiao sat in the corner, listening to the sounds transmitted from the recording device through her phone. Why did she suddenly decide to come today? Elle Lin's voice carried dissatisfaction. "I don't know, maybe she got suspicious." Sage Zhou panted. "Hurry up, I can't be away for too long." The sound of fabric rustling, the wet noise of kissing, followed by Elle Lin's coquettish complaint. "Tell me, who's better, her or me?" "Of course it's you." Sage Zhou's voice was muffled. "There's no feeling left between me and her." Dina Qiao turned off her phone and walked to the bathroom. The woman in the mirror looked pale. Only her lips were a glaring red. She touched up her lipstick and nearly bumped into Elle Lin as she turned around. "Sister-in-law." Elle Lin smiled sweetly. "Brother Zhou is looking for you." Dina Qiao glanced at the hickey on the girl's neck and said softly, "Tell him I'm not feeling well and have gone back first." She hailed a taxi without waiting for Sage Zhou. Returning home, Dina Qiao turned on her computer and saved tonight's recording into the evidence folder. This folder already occupied half of her hard drive space. Rain began to fall outside, droplets tapping against the window like countless tiny voices of mockery. Dina Qiao stood by the window, watching Sage Zhou's car enter the neighborhood. She quickly lay down on the bed. Pretending to be fast asleep, Sage Zhou entered quietly. Spending a long time in the bathroom, when he finally lay down, Dina Qiao turned her back to him, eyes open, waiting for dawn. At 6:15 in the morning, Dina Qiao was startled awake by noises from the kitchen. She opened her eyes to find a steaming cup of honey water on the nightstand, Sage Zhou's unwavering morning ritual. Dina Qiao propped herself up. Beneath the glass was a note. "Honey, I'm on a business trip today and won't be able to have dinner with you tonight. Love you." The handwriting was neat, with a small heart drawn at the end. She picked up her phone and unlocked the screen. The monitoring app showed Sage Zhou's car was parked in the Yayuji residential area in the east of the city, El Lin's residence. Dina Qiao took a screenshot and saved it, then opened the cloud photo album. In last night's synchronized photos, there was a selfie of El Lin wearing Sage Zhou's shirt, with the hotel bathroom mirror in the background reflecting the side profile of a man sleeping soundly on the bed. Dina Qiao deleted the browsing history on her phone and got up to wash up. As she passed the study, she paused. Sage Zhou's briefcase was placed on the table, the zipper not fully closed. She put on gloves and gently opened it. Inside were neatly arranged documents. With a home purchase letter of intent on top, the buyer's name was left blank, but the property address was unmistakably the lakeside villa district El Lin had been talking about. Dina Qiao photographed each page with her phone, then returned everything exactly as it was. During breakfast, Sage Zhou called, "Honey, I've arrived at the airport." Amid the background noise of airport announcements, Dina Qiao keenly detected the faint sound of a woman's light laughter. "Have a safe flight." Dina Qiao sipped her coffee. "What time do you land? I'll pick you up." There was a brief pause on the other end of the line. "No need. The company has arranged for a pickup. It might be late. You should rest early." After hanging up, Dina Qiao turned on her computer. In her inbox was an email from a private detective, with an attachment of the surveillance footage from last night showing Sage Zhou and El Lin checking in at the hotel front desk. In the frame, Sage Zhou is wearing a baseball cap and a mask, but the wedding ring on his left ring finger glistens under the light. Dina Qiao saves the video into an encrypted folder labeled Home Decor Inspiration, which already contains 237 files. She opens the photo of the latest added home purchase letter of intent. Zooming in to examine it closely, the letter of intent bears no signature, but the developer's seal reveals it's from Shinrong Real Estate, the company owned by Sage Zhou's college classmate. The phone suddenly rang, displaying Su Meng on the screen. "Guess who I just saw?" Her best friend's voice was hushed. "You're Sage Zhou and El Lin, at the Hermes store in the financial center." Dina Qiao's fingers tightened. "When, just now, I saw them while shopping." Su Meng paused. "That bitch was trying on bags, and your man swiped his card like it was nothing." Dina Qiao opened her mobile banking app. Sure enough, there was a withdrawal of 98,000 yuan from the joint account in the morning, with the note "Equipment purchase. Take a few photos for me." Dina Qiao's voice was eerily calm. Half an hour later, Dina Qiao received the photos sent by Su Meng. El Lin was holding onto Sage Zhou's arm, carrying a brand new orange gift box in her hand, smiling with triumphant satisfaction. Sage Zhou was dressed in a sharp suit, the epitome of an elite, not at all looking like someone rushing to catch a flight. Dina Qiao zoomed in on the photo and noticed something unusual in El Lin's other hand, a diamond ring, the design strikingly similar to her own wedding ring, except the center stone was at least twice as large. She put down her phone and walked into the walk-in closet. In the bottom drawer lies a safe. Dina Qiao enters the code and retrieves a stack of documents. These are the draft divorce papers she collected from her lawyer last week, with the asset division section still blank. At noon, Dina Qiao has an appointment with her bank relationship manager. Inside the VIP room, she hands over a list. "Please print the transaction records for these accounts over the past 2 years." The account manager looked troubled. "Mrs. Zhou, these accounts are all private accounts under Mr. Zhou's name and require his personal authorization." Dina Qiao took out a notarized document from her bag. "This is a joint property declaration. I have the right to inquire." 2 hours later, a thick stack of transaction records lay piled in front of Dina Qiao. She circled over a dozen large transfers with a red pen. All recipients were Shinrong Real Estate, the most recent transaction was just 3 days ago, for the exact amount of the down payment on the lakeside villa. As she left the bank, a light drizzle began to fall. Dina Chow hadn't brought an umbrella, and the rain dampened her shoulders. Standing in the rain, she sent a message to Sage Zhou. "How's the business trip going? Miss you." The message was marked as read, but there was no reply. It wasn't until 8 p.m. that Sage Zhou finally called. "Honey, my schedule was packed with meetings today. Just got back to the hotel." The background noise was unusually quiet, not typical of a hotel environment. Dina Chow heard the faint clinking of porcelain, Lin's favorite set of English bone china teacups. "You've had a long day." Dina Chow stood by the study window, gazing at the blurred city lights through the rain. "What time are you coming back tomorrow? I'll pick you up." "No need, I'm going straight to the office." Sage Zhou's voice suddenly grew distant. "Hand me that," then returned to normal. "Honey, I'm going to take a shower first. See you tomorrow." The call ended. Dina Chow opened the tracking app. The little red dot representing Sage Zhou was still stationary at Yayue residence. She took a screenshot, saved it, then dialed the private investigator's number. "I need the internal documents of Shinrong Real Estate, especially the property purchase records under Sage Zhou's name." She paused. "Also, urgently check Lin's bank transactions." The next morning, Dina Chow was startled awake by the doorbell. A courier stood at the door, holding a large bouquet of red roses. "Mrs. Zhou, your flowers." After signing for them, Dina Chow took out the card from the bouquet. "Can't forget to miss you even on a business trip. Making it up to you tonight. Restaurant is booked. Your loving husband." She threw the flowers into the trash, keeping only the card as evidence. The phone rang. It was Sage Zhou. "Honey, did you get the flowers?" "Yes, they're beautiful." Dina Chow walked into the kitchen and started making breakfast. "Did you sleep well last night?" "Not bad, but the hotel bed was too hard." Sage Zhou's voice carried a hint of laughter. "I'll take you to that French restaurant you love tonight. I've already made a reservation." Dina Chow knew that restaurant, minimum 3,000 yuan per person. Last week, Lin posted on her social media celebrating her birthday there. In the corner of the photo, half of a man's hand was visible, wearing the same watch as Sage Zhou. "Sure." Dina Chow flipped the fried egg. "By the way, it's my mom's birthday next week. Make sure you keep your schedule open." The other end of the line fell silent for a few seconds. "Next week, which day exactly?" 23rd, Dina Chow said deliberately. "Don't tell me you forgot again." "Of course not." Sage Zhou forced a laugh. "It's just, I might have a business trip to Shenzhen on the 23rd. The client scheduled it long ago." Dina Chow turned off the stove. Lin's Instagram post stated that the 23rd was her and Sage Zhou's anniversary, and they had planned a vacation to Sanya. "What a pity." Dina Chow's voice was cheerful. "Then I'll take Mom to the hot springs instead, just using the credit card you gave me last time." That supplementary card was linked directly to Sage Zhou's personal account. After hanging up, Dina Chow immediately booked the most expensive hot spring hotel online, deliberately selecting the 12-month installment option at checkout. In the afternoon, Dina Chow went to the law firm. Attorney Lee flipped through the evidence she had brought, her frown deepening. "The situation is more serious than I imagined." Attorney Lee adjusted her glasses. "Mr. Zhou is not only transferring assets but also suspected of fabricating debts. These company name transfers actually all flowed into his mistress's account." Dina Chow opened her phone, displaying the latest photos she had received. Sage Zhou and Lin were signing contracts at the sales office, with the model of a lakeside villa in the background. "The property is registered under Lin's name, but the down payment came from our joint assets." Dina Chow's voice was eerily calm. "I need to file for divorce before he completes all the transfers." Attorney Lee nodded. "We need more concrete evidence to prove these fund transfers were made with malicious intent. If we could obtain a recording of them admitting it." After leaving the law firm, Dina Chow went to the electronics market. She bought a miniature voice recorder disguised as an ordinary USB drive. When she got home, she placed it in the inner pocket of the suit Sage Zhou often wore, the very one he would wear to his French dinner date that evening. At 7 o'clock sharp in the evening, Sage Zhou arrived home on time. Dressed in a crisp navy blue suit, he carried a faint scent of cologne. "Honey, you look stunning today." He admired Dina Chow's black dress. "Is this dress new?" Dina Chow smiled and nodded. "These just arrived yesterday. The same style Lin posted about last week, only in a different color." The French restaurant was dimly lit, with a violinist playing in the corner. Sage Zhou ordered the most expensive red wine, his diamond cufflinks glinting as he raised his glass. Dina Qiao remembered they were a birthday gift from Lin. To us, Sage Zhou said. Gazing at her tenderly, next month marks our 7th wedding anniversary. Dina Qiao took a sip of wine. 7 years was enough to see someone's true colors. She pretended to ask casually, how's work been lately? I heard you took on a new project. Sage Zhou paused while cutting his steak. Yeah, it's a big client. He quickly changed the subject. By the way, I might have to work overtime next weekend and won't be able to spend time with you. Dina Qiao knew that next weekend was Lin's birthday. She had already seen the resort booking screenshot on the other person's social media. What a pity, Dina Qiao sighed. I was hoping to go see the new house with you. The agent said there's one that's perfect for us, right by the lakeside villas. Sage Zhou's fork clattered onto his plate. The waiter hurried over to replace it, giving him a chance to compose himself. Why the sudden thought of moving? Our current place is too small. Dina Qiao met his gaze directly. And, I'm planning to have a child. This is the bait she threw out. Sage Zhou had always used insufficient financial conditions as an excuse to delay their parenthood plans, but in reality, he had already prepared a nursery for Lin. The renovation blueprints captured by the private investigator clearly labeled it as a baby room. Sage Zhou's expression turned complicated. Let's discuss it later. He glanced at his watch. Would you like dessert? I remember you love this place's souffle. On the way home, Sage Zhou received a phone call. Dina Qiao pretended to look out the window, but her ears perked up. No, I really don't have time tomorrow. I said we'll talk over the weekend. He lowered his voice. Stop making a scene. Didn't I give you the money? Dina Qiao's fingers quietly slipped into his suit pocket, confirming the recorder was still running. After arriving home, Sage Zhou said he had an urgent email to reply to and disappeared into the study. Dina Qiao changed into her pajamas and retrieved another voice recorder from the hidden compartment. She had concealed it behind the bookshelf in the study the day before. The contents of the 2 voice recorders allowed her to piece together the truth. Sage Zhou was indeed transferring assets, and Lin was already pregnant, which was the reason they were in such a hurry to buy a house, late at night. When Sage Zhou got into bed, Dina Qiao pretended to be fast asleep. He gently kissed her forehead, then turned his back to her. Under the moonlight, Dina Qiao opened her eyes, staring at the back of her husband's head, planning her next move. Tomorrow is Friday, Sage Zhou's overtime day, and Dina Qiao has already arranged an accidental encounter. The morning sunlight streamed through the gaps in the curtains, and Dina Qiao opened her eyes. The digital clock on the bedside table showed 6:30. Today is Friday, Sage Zhou's overtime day. Dina Qiao got up and took the voice recorder from under the pillow. Last night, Sage Zhou clearly called out Lin's name in his sleep and mumbled something about putting the villa in your name. She saved the recording to a folder labeled evidence, which already occupied most of her computer's memory. In the kitchen, Dina Qiao brewed coffee as her phone began to vibrate. The private investigator sent a message. I've obtained the internal documents of Shinrong Real Estate. Sage Zhou does indeed own a villa, registered under Lin's mother's name. They will go to the sales office to pay the remaining balance at 10 a.m. today. Dina Qiao took a sip of black coffee, the bitterness spreading on her tongue. She opened her mobile banking app, and the joint account balance showed less than 50,000 yuan remaining. 3 months ago, there had been over 2 million yuan in deposits. The doorbell rang. Dina Qiao opened the door to find Su Meng standing outside with breakfast in hand, her expression grave. Are you sure you want to act today? If we wait any longer, we won't even be able to keep this apartment, Dina Qiao replied, taking the soy milk. He's already paid the down payment for the villa and is going to settle the final payment today. Su Meng pulled a USB drive from her bag. Everything you asked for is on here. Hotel surveillance footage, bank transfer records, and, she paused, Lin's pregnancy test report. Dina Qiao's fingers tightened, the plastic cup crumpling in her grip. The scalding soy milk overflowed, reddening her skin, but she felt no pain. 8 weeks pregnant, Su Meng said softly, right around the time your mother was hospitalized. Dina Qiao set down her cup and walked into the study. Inside the safe lay a complete divorce agreement. With the asset division section already filled out, she wanted the house, savings, and car, while Sage Zhou could only take his clothes and personal belongings. Is lawyerly ready. Dina Qiao checked the documents. He's already waiting at the sales office. Su Meng hesitated for a moment. What about your parents? They'll be there today too. Dina Qiao's voice was eerily calm. I want them to see with their own eyes what kind of man their so-called perfect son-in-law really is. At exactly 9 o'clock, Dina Qiao changed into that black suit dress, the one Sage Zhou always said was too serious and didn't suit her. She applied exquisite makeup, painted on a bold red lipstick, and the woman in the mirror had a sharp gaze, with no trace of the former weakness left. "Let's go," she said to Su Meng. "The show is about to begin." The sales office of Xinrong Real Estate was resplendent in gold and jade. Dina Qiao and Loyally sat in the lounge area next to the VIP room, where they could clearly see the situation inside through the half-open blinds. At 5:10, Sage Zhou walked in with his arm around El Lin's waist. El Lin was wearing a loose dress, and while there was no visible change in her abdomen yet, her hand kept subtly protecting her lower belly. The saleswoman warmly greeted them. "Mr. Zhou, Miss Lin, the contract is ready." Dina Qiao opened her phone and started recording. "The final payment of 3 million is due today as agreed." Sage Zhou took out a checkbook from his briefcase, made out to Xinrong Real Estate. "Right." El Lin leaned against his shoulder and cooed, "Honey, are we really putting the property deed under my mom's name?" "For now, yes." Sage Zhou patted her hand. "Once I finalize the divorce with her, we'll transfer it to your name." Just then, the door to the VIP room swung open. Dina Qiao's parents stood at the door, their faces livid. Her father, a retired court president, held a stack of documents in his hand. "Dad, Mom," Sage Zhou suddenly stood up, the checkbook falling to the floor. How did we find out you're gifting a house to your mistress here today?" Mr. Qiao's voice boomed like thunder. "Dina Qiao told us everything." El Lin's face turned deathly pale, instinctively hiding behind Sage Zhou. Sage Zhou forced himself to stay calm. "Dad, you've misunderstood. This is an investment property. Putting her mother's name on it was just to what?" Dina Qiao stepped out from behind her parents, holding a voice recorder. "To transfer our shared assets." Sage Zhou's face instantly drained of color. "Honey, let me explain." "No need for explanations." Dina Qiao pressed play, and Sage Zhou's voice came through clearly. "Once I divorce her, the villa will be transferred to you. That plain-looking wife of mine is no match for you." El Lin suddenly rushed forward. "How dare you follow us?" She raised her hand to slap Dina Qiao. Dina Qiao effortlessly caught her wrist. Still so fiery even while pregnant, she pulled out a document from her bag. "This is your prenatal report. 8 weeks, exactly when my mother was hospitalized." Sage Zhou claimed he was keeping her company at the hospital, but he was actually with you, wasn't he? El Lin staggered backward, bumping into the coffee table. Sage Zhou wanted to help her up, but was stopped by Qiao's father. "My daughter has been married to you for 7 years, and this is how you repay her." "Dad, don't call me Dad," Qiao's father roared angrily. "From today onward, we sever all ties." Attorney Li stepped forward at the right moment. "Mr. Zhou, this is the divorce agreement proposed by my client, Ms. Dina Qiao. Given your actions of transferring assets and marital infidelity, we demand that you leave the marriage with nothing." Sage Zhou's face twisted in anger. "No way. The house and cars are half mine, is that so?" Dina Qiao sneered, pulling out a stack of papers from her folder. "These are records of the funds you transferred from our joint account over the past 2 years, totaling 4.65 million. Where did all this money go?" She pointed at El Lin. "Her bags, jewelry, and even this villa were all bought with our shared assets." El Lin screamed. "You're lying. These are all gifts Sage gave me. Marital property, large gifts given without spousal consent are invalid." Loyally adjusted his glasses. "Miss Lin, all valuable items under your name will be reclaimed." Sage Zhou suddenly lunged at Dina Qiao. "You bitch, you set me up." Mr. Qiao stopped him abruptly, and several security guards rushed over upon hearing the commotion. The scene was chaotic. El Lin collapsed to the ground, wailing, while Sage Zhou was pinned down by security guards, still roaring threats. Dina Qiao calmly recorded everything, then turned and walked away. As she stepped out of the sales office, the sunlight stung her eyes. 7 years of marriage had just come to an end. A month later, the divorce verdict was issued, with irrefutable evidence of Sage Zhou's malicious asset transfer and marital infidelity. The court ruled in favor of all of Dina Qiao's demands. The property, savings, and car were awarded to her, and Sage Zhou was additionally ordered to pay 200,000 yuan in emotional damages. El Lin was forced to return all the expensive gifts, including that diamond ring. At the company's annual meeting, the HR department unexpectedly played a video, footage of Sage Zhou and Elle Lin's affair in the office. The video ended, and large words appeared on the screen: integrity as the foundation, virtue and talent combined. Sage Zhou, you're fired. Dina Qiao sat in the corner, watching as Sage Zhou was escorted out of the venue by security. As he passed by her, he glared at her fiercely, but Dina Qiao simply raised her champagne glass and smiled faintly. Life after the divorce was peaceful and fulfilling. Dina Qiao sold the house filled with memories and opened a small cafe in the city center. The most popular item on the menu is a special blend called Rebirth. In the third month of operation, a familiar figure walked through the door: Dean Liu, her senior from college, now a partner at a prestigious law firm. I heard your Americano is excellent here. He sat down with a smile. Can't an old classmate get a discount? Dina Qiao personally brewed his coffee. As they reminisced about their college days, Dean Liu suddenly said, actually, I've been wanting to reach out to you, but I heard you got married, divorced now. Dina Qiao replied frankly. Dean Liu's gaze was warm. So I have a chance. Dina Qiao shook her head with a smile. Right now, I just want to focus on running this shop well. I can wait. Dean Liu handed her a business card. If you have any legal issues, feel free to contact me anytime. As the days passed, Dean Liu became a regular at the cafe. He never overstepped his boundaries, quietly working in the corner, occasionally helping Dina Qiao fix a leaking pipe or move heavy objects. Half a year later, on a day of torrential rain, after the last customer left, Dina Qiao was about to close up when the doorbell rang again. Drenched from head to toe, Sage Zhou stood at the door, unshaven and with bloodshot eyes. Dina Qiao, his voice was hoarse, I was wrong, give me one more chance. Dina Qiao stood still, suddenly realizing that the man who once haunted her dreams now only made her feel estranged and a trace of pity. What about Elle Lin? She asked calmly. Sage Zhou's expression twisted. That bitch. She aborted the child and ran away after finding out I went bankrupt. He knelt down. Honey, let's start over. Get out. Dina Qiao's voice wasn't loud, but each word cut like an ice blade. Or I'll call the police. Sage Zhou was about to say something more when a tall figure stepped between him and Dina Qiao. Dean Liu had emerged from the bathroom unnoticed, phone in hand. Shall I dial 110 for you? Sage Zhou looked at him, then at Dina Qiao, and suddenly burst into laughter. I knew it. You've been hooking up with him all along, haven't you, Yubi? Dean Liu grabbed him by the collar. Say one more word, and I'll make sure you get a taste of prison food. He lowered his voice. Don't forget, I have evidence of your embezzlement. Sage Zhou turned pale and staggered away in a hurry. Dina Qiao closed the door, her legs nearly giving way beneath her. Dean Liu steadied her. It's okay now. The rain gradually ceased, and a golden ray of sunset broke through the clouds. Dina Qiao looked into Dean Liu's concerned eyes and suddenly felt something melt inside her. Thank you, she said softly. Would you like to stay for dinner? Dean Liu smiled. It would be my honor. A year later, in spring, Dina Qiao opened a second branch of her cafe. On opening day, Dean Liu knelt on one knee in front of everyone and presented a simple diamond ring. This time, may I officially join the queue? He asked. Dina Qiao smiled and extended her hand. You've been in first place all along. The wedding was simple, inviting only the closest friends and family. Dina Qiao wore a simple white dress, no wedding gown, no luxury car, but the smile on her face was more genuine than ever. Upon returning from their honeymoon, Dina Qiao found a letter in the shop. There was no signature, but she recognized the handwriting. It was Sage Zhou. The letter said he had left the city to work in the south to repay his debts. The last line read, You won. Dina Qiao tossed the letter into the shredder. This wasn't about winning or losing. She had finally realized that true victory wasn't revenge, but living a better life than before. At closing time in the evening, a young girl timidly walked in. Her eyes were red, and she clutched divorce papers in her hand. Excuse me, are you Sister Dina Qiao? The girl asked, her voice trembling. My friend said, you could help me. Dina Qiao put down the cleaning cloth and smiled gently. Come. Have a cup of hot tea first. Take your time. Outside the window, the sun was setting, marking the end of another day, but for some, a brand new life was just beginning.